I want to dive into some of your biggest failures, if that's all right with you. You know,
Absolutely.
that's one thing, you know, on a lot of these podcasts, you hear people talk about, you know, these huge successes and huge exits, but there's a ton of learning that goes on in the failures. And Ken and I have been pretty transparent in the failures we've had in our business. And I'd be curious, what have been some of your biggest failures as you look back in the rearview mirror at 16 years in e-commerce?
We would need 100 podcasts to cover all of them, but so I'll share some of the ones that come to mind. I'll try to pick a few from the beginning and a few recent. But a lot of the really big ones were in the beginning just because I wasn't thinking things through enough, and I wasn't treating it like a business, and I didn't know what treating something like a business even meant. So one of the things is I didn't learn what cash flow was or that it was even a term for about 4.5 years into my business. And things just always went up. And a few of the businesses that I started in the beginning, the few of the brands, like a hair brand, you know, the bar and wine tool brand, cigar accessory brand, we sold them. Like, because the person that I brokered the deal with, they were constantly coming back, say, hey, what else you got going on? What else you got going on? And we would sell them. The wholesale business, though, stayed, or the reselling business on Amazon, it's called the wholesale business. It kept growing, and we quickly got that to 16 million in gross sales. And mind you, I was a totally different person again than what I am now. But back then, you couldn't have a conversation with me without walking away and me not having let you know that I was some kind of millionaire, right? Like, it was just like, it was every other word was, oh, you don't know what I make. And a real jerk. I couldn't be around me. I wouldn't have bought me a drink back then. And the truth, though, was that when I would go to gas stations, I've shared this openly with my group. Like, when I would go to gas stations, I would have to cycle through the last 4 digits of my credit card. I have my ex-girlfriend in the car, and or one of my exes, and I'd say, I'm trying to figure out which card is not going to decline. I wasn't looking for points. I was trying to figure out which one of my cards would not decline for gasoline in my car, right? Like
Yeah.
like an old Durango. Like, it wasn't even like a sports car. You know what I mean? It was like an old Durango. I think it would have took $90 to fill the tank. I was concerned I couldn't fill the car. Mind you, it was doing about 16 million gross, and that just kept getting bigger. That gross number kept getting bigger and kept getting bigger, and my problems and my concern for gasoline and other like groceries kept becoming an issue. And at the same time, banks kept seeing these huge numbers come in, and they kept offering greater and bigger amounts of loans and monies, and the cabbages and the cash advance people, they'd loan money. And then friends and family are like, man, I'd love to just make an extra $2,000 a month. Can I invest some money with you? Absolutely. And we would just get all this money. And so eventually one of the partners ripped the other partner off, and I sat down with a friend, and I'm just like, I got to figure this out. I can't lose my millions. And there was no books. And he sat down over an entire weekend of pizza and beer. And at the end of it, he says, the good news is you don't need a lawyer. Because you're broke. You're broke. You're not only are you not a millionaire, you're broke. He goes, what you are really good at is moving money and not making money. And I couldn't understand the difference. I didn't even know which one was good and which one was bad when he said it. So one of my huge mistakes then, and I guess can be summed up in know your numbers, is understand what cash flow is. If you didn't go to college, you can still be successful. It does not mean that there is not some really solid information that you could have learned had you gone to college and learned some, like, cash flow 101. So cash flow is important. Know your numbers, huge.